2. Hi Guy, welcome back TV Spoilers. Today, I'll reveal Nate's rage upon discovering the identity of the person behind Lily's kidnapping. What will he do? Nate is furious upon discovering Victor is holding Lily captive, and Victoria will feel awkward about her father's actions. After piecing together clues from Devon and some leaked information, Nate finally confronts Victor, demanding the truth about Lily's disappearance. When Victor admits to staging the fake disappearance and Lily's involvement, Nate explodes in rage. He feels deeply betrayed not only by Victor, but also by Lily for causing pain to his family and making him worrying. Nate's anger isn't just directed at Victor for his manipulation, but also at Lily's recklessness. Nate had never been one to panic easily, nor was he the type to act on emotion before having all the facts, but that's precisely why. When he began to sense something was amiss in Lily's disappearance, his unease grew heavier than usual. He worried not only because Lily was related to Devon, not only because of the excessively prolonged silence of a woman who would never disappear from family life in such an ambiguous way, but also because all the disparate clues were piecing together a picture that reeked of contrivance. In the early days, Nate tried to maintain a rational foothold, reminding himself that in Genoa City, rumors often outpaced the truth, and not every gap meant danger. But the more Nate observed the reactions of those around him, the more he listened to Devon's unusual details, and the more he noticed how Victor's name began to appear in the incoherent whispers. The more he felt a growing tension in his chest, like an invisible hand squeezing. It was no longer mere anxiety, but a very specific, chilling premonition that Lily was being drawn into someone else's scheme, and that those who loved her were being forced into a game with pre-written rules. Devon was the first person to truly convince Nate that this wasn't so simple. Initially, Devon remained reserved, as if he himself didn't want to believe his suspicions. He had been through too many events to understand that accusing Victor was never a small matter, and once Victor was mentioned, everything instantly shifted from family tension to a power struggle. But Devon also understood Lily better than anyone else. He understood how she reacted to danger, her communication with her family, even the smallest habits that outsiders might overlook. That's why this silence was unlike any before. It was too clean, too secretive, too deliberate. Devon revealed the leaked information piece by piece with reluctance, as if each word he uttered brought him closer to a conclusion he didn't want to reach. He didn't have complete evidence, only incomplete clues, but they were enough to build a terrifying line of suspicion. Victor might be involved in Lily's disappearance. Not in the covert way he usually did with the Newman family, but actively manipulating things as a strategy. Nate listened to Devon, and his first reaction wasn't to believe him immediately, but to resist in silence. It wasn't because he thought Devon was making it up, but because if it were true, the ruthlessness of this plan surpassed even the limits of what he had prepared himself to accept. He had witnessed Victor manipulating others, seen Victor turn emotions into tools, loyalty into debt, and crises into leverage in power struggles. But this time it was Lily. Not a business rival, not a traitor, but a woman being dragged into the middle of a revenge plot. The more Nate thought about it, the more he felt the simmering anger within him begin to transform. It didn't explode immediately, but slowly accumulated, like water boiled to a boiling point, but still held tightly in a sealed pot. He questioned Devon more intensely, not out of distrust, but because he needed every detail to keep himself grounded. He needed logic to counter his emotions, information to prevent his rage from turning into impulsive action. However, each answer Devon gave only made things clearer in the worst possible way. Victor had motives, Victor had the ability, and Victor had a history of using extreme methods to achieve his goals. If you maintain the events and spirit from your outline, the most logical climax of this storyline wouldn't just be Nate yelling at Victor, but the moment afterward when he's forced to confront himself and realize that anger won't solve anything immediately. Lily is still Lily, his loved one, the one he still has to protect even in anger. Victor is still Victor, the one who won't change just because of a confrontation. Personally, I find this a very powerful storyline for Nate, as it gives him a reaction that is not only explosive, but also morally weighty. Nate's anger isn't fleeting. He's angry like someone who can no longer tolerate others constantly trampling on the mental well-being of innocent people in the name of a grand goal. This makes him very human, very real. And because of this, if this storyline is developed correctly, Nate's pain after learning Lily agreed to participate could be even more haunting than his confrontation with Victor. Because being angry at someone like Victor is understandable, but the feeling of being both angry and grieving for his loved one is what truly resonates with the audience. I like this kind of tragedy in Y&R's work because it not only shocks with its plot but also forces the character to confront deeply unforgiving emotions. And if Nate truly has to choose between fighting Victor to the bitter end or swallowing his anger to prevent his family from falling apart again, that choice would make the story much more compelling in the following episodes. On our TV Spoilers channel, I always seek content inspiration for each video by compiling short video clips to analyze and offer my personal opinions. This channel specializes in analyzing, theorizing, and discussing plot points in The Young and the Restless series from the perspective of a longtime fan. Through this, viewers can gain deeper, more objective, and more interesting perspectives. Subscribe to the channel to stay updated on the latest news about The Young and the Restless series.